Okay, so this is the other lesson for grammar for today. Okay, here are more verbs that we can sometimes confuse easily when we are writing sentences. Okay, so for example, good and well. Okay, so good means, okay, it's an adjective used to describe nouns or pronouns. So good is an adjective. All right, we can use it to describe nouns or pronouns. And well, on the other hand, is an adverb. The difference between an adjective and an adverb is that the adjective describes nouns and the adverb is used to describe verbs. Okay, and why is this couple of verbs easily confused sometimes? Because sometimes we use good to describe a verb, okay? And sometimes we use well to describe a noun. So that's why it's okay, confused very easily, okay? The other pair of easily confused verbs is there. I mean, words is there and there. Even though they sound the same, it doesn't mean that they mean the same thing. There is an adverb that means that location or place. Okay, for example, where is your backpack? My backpack is over there. Okay, it describes a location. And this one, there, is a possessive pronoun that shows who or what owns something. Okay, so very different meanings. Okay, example with this one, their house is green, meaning that the house belongs to them. Their house is green. If we say their house is green using this one, okay, it's used wrong because this one means a location. Okay? Another one that sounds the same as this two is there, but this is a contraction for they are. Okay? They're in school. They are in school. But we sometimes confuse these three words because they sound the same, but they have different meanings. Okay, the last one is whose and whose. Even though they sound the same, it doesn't mean that they mean the same thing. Okay, whose is a possessive pronoun that shows who or what owns something. Example, whose backpack is this? I'm asking who this backpack belongs to. Whose backpack is this? When I use whose, this is a contraction for who is. Who's going to school tomorrow? Who is going to school tomorrow? Okay? We confuse these words sometimes because they sound the same, but they don't share the same meaning. So we need to be very careful. Okay? Are we using whose because a possessive pronoun is part of the sentence that we want to describe, or do we need to use a contraction? Okay, how do we need to find out which word is the correct one? By, of course, reading the sentence and finding what the sentence is telling us. Okay, so let's look at the example. Whose horse is this? Or who is horse is this? So which one sounds better? When I use this contraction as who is. Remember that whose with an apostrophe s means who is. Okay, so whose or who is? Whose horse is this? Or who is horse is this? Of course, after you have heard how I read these sentences, you can say that the first one is the correct word. Whose? Whose horse is this? Okay, who is the owner of the horse? Who this horse belongs to? Okay, number two. The Cowboys have received their location, okay, their ownership or contraction. They are. The cowboys have received their supper. The cowboys have received their supper, or the cowboys have received they are supper. Of course, the last one doesn't belong here because this is a contraction. Okay, so is it location or ownership? Of course, their. Okay, the cowboys have received their supper, meaning that supper belongs to the cowboys. Okay, so this one is not applied because we're not talking about location. Okay, 3. The vaqueros did a good job teaching the young cowboys, or the vaqueros did a well job teaching the young cowboys. Okay, to find which word is the correct one, we need to focus on this one right here. Job. Is job a noun or is it a verb? If job is a verb, we need to use well because this is an adverb. But if job is a noun, we need to use good because good describes a noun. Good is an adjective. The vaqueros did a good job teaching the young cowboys, or the vaqueros did a well job teaching the young cowboys. Okay, so what do you think? Job, of course, is a noun, so we need to use the word good, an adjective to describe a noun. Okay, number 4, there, or there. Again, these 3 words sound the same. They're going to ride this afternoon. They're going to ride this afternoon, or they are going to ride this afternoon, which is the meaning of this. This is a contraction. And of course, we want the contraction. They are going to ride this afternoon. So we pick there. Okay, number 5. Whose or who is? Remember that whose with an apostrophe s is a contraction. It means who is. Whose turn is it to build the fire? Or whose turn is it to build the fire? Of course, after you have heard how I read the sentence using the second one, you realize that the first one is a correct word that completes this sentence. Whose turn is it to build the fire? Okay. Number 6, the cowboys set up camp over there, or they are. Okay, remember that this shows ownership, this shows location, and this is a contraction. We don't need a contraction, let me tell you this right now. So which one do you think belongs in this sentence? The cowboys set up camp over there or there? Okay, we want a word that means location. Okay, and of course, there is the one that we want to pick. That means location. Okay, number 7, he aimed good and hit his target, or he aimed well and hit his target. To find which word is the correct one, we need to focus on this one. Is this word a verb or a noun? He aimed. Of course, this one is a verb. So we need an adverb to go with it. Is good the adverb or is well the adverb? Well is the adverb. So he aimed well and hit his target. Okay, and the last one, who's making dinner tonight, or who is making dinner tonight? Okay, we want the contraction on this one. Who is making dinner tonight? Okay, so this is another example of misused words. Sometimes words that we sometimes confuse. Okay, so after you have seen this video, I want you to go to your reader's notebook on page 332. Okay, which is the next one, page 332. And I want you to practice with these words. Okay, it's very important that you spend time reading this right here because this gives you the meaning of the words and the part of speech. Good is an adjective, well is an adjective, well is an adverb, there is a pronoun, there is an adjective, they are is a contraction. Okay, so Go over the sentences. You need to write on the line the word in parentheses that correctly completes each sentence. So instead of underlining, this time you get to write it. Okay, let's look at number one. You have to be a good horseback rider to be a vaquero, or you have to be a well horseback rider to be a vaquero. Okay, we need to focus on these words right here. This is a noun, so we need an adjective here. Okay, so I guess this one is the one that belongs in the first. Okay, in the first line for the first sentence. Okay, so I will let you work on this by yourselves. Let me know if you have any questions by sending me a text message, and I hope that you can upload your information or your answers on the Google Classroom. Okay, if you cannot, okay, you can always send me a picture of your completed work. Okay, see you on the next video.